in corporate plays. We'll groove through it all in funky ways. So join us now, let's find our way. Listen to bits and pivots every single day. Ooh, get money, get paid.
All right, today's episode is an interview with Val Walker. Val is a enterprise or strategic customer success manager at GitHub, but prior to that, she was an accounting executive. She was an AE at Oracle, and she was an AE with me at Evernote. And we kind of talk about like what has she been up to since she left Evernote, and then how did she come to be a CSM and why, and what was that decision like, and all those things. So if you have any curiosity about ever being a CSM, this is a great episode for you. If you want to support the podcast, you could do me a favor and you can go ahead and like, subscribe, leave some comments in the comments, some questions in the comments. I will reply to you. And that's it. I'll see you after the episode.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. It's good seeing you.
You as well. Long time.
I know. It has been a long time, but it doesn't feel like a long time.
No, especially with like social media. It's just, you get to see people's families and growing up and things like that. So it's like, and then I feel like just the ecosphere of Austin and jobs, it's like you kind of still see people here and there or hear about somebody. People ask me sometimes, hey, like this person said that they work with you at Evernote. Can you refer them? I'm like, yeah.
Dude, that's so funny. I just I did one of these with Laura Flores like a couple days ago or a week ago.
Oh, wow.
So it's so funny you said that. Yeah.
And you used to work with her, right?
Yeah.
It's a small Austin world, small Austin tech world.
Yeah, no, I like your Mariah Carey shirt.
Thank you. I just went to this concert, was her holiday Christmas tour that she had here in Austin like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, shit.
I know.
And she sang the Christmas song?
She did, of course, her official Christmas song at the end. She also brought on her twins. She has kids. And what else? She sang a couple of her like originals, but it was good. Like, I love her. I went to go see her in her residency in Las Vegas. So when I saw that, I was like, I have to go back when they saw that the Austin was doing the Christmas tour. But yes, of course, I got the $50 shirt.
$50 shirt, $16 beers.
Yeah, the whole nine. Yep. You know how it goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How old are the boys now?
Oh, my gosh. So my oldest is 6 and my youngest is almost 3 in a couple months. I know.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
I was pregnant with my first when we were at Evernote. Pictures show up on my iPhone all the time.
Yeah, I was like, I was thinking about the last time that, like when we worked together at Evernote, and I was looking at your LinkedIn, and I was like, holy shit, that was like over 6 years ago. Like, that's nuts.
iPhone lets me know all the time. It's like a slap in the face, especially, with kids. It's just like, oh God, the time is just down. I love it though.
Yeah,
I love Christmas time now. I love Halloween now. Like all those little times that you forget about as an adult, just grinding, they come back. So I'm, again, all this, but I'm still kind of entering that new zone.
Oh, it's awesome. It's the best thing ever. And I love like seeing all the pictures of you and your family and everything, and like the boys with their hair and like they look, they got the same hair as their dad. It's like, I love it. It's so cute. And it's just it's one of those things like, you work with people and then you change jobs and it kind of goes and goes. But like there's people you remember and you always hope that like they do good. And so you're one of those people, of course.
Oh,
and, like,
thank you.
It's a warm feeling when I see you with your family and buying the new house and all that stuff. It was like, I love it.
I know, they bought a new crib for the new crib.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Good times. Likewise,
so cool. Too. Well, I wanted to talk to you for this because this podcast, it's all about like career stuff for sales reps. And like one of the things, and I do some career coaching, and one of the things that always comes up is sales reps are like, I don't know, I'm thinking about doing like customer success or account management or all that. And you made that transition. You did it successfully. You're an awesome sales rep. You had like an awesome career as an AE. So I just kind of wanted to learn more about that. And then also wanted to learn more about, we were last working together. You were like, I was working with you before you were even married. So like I could say you went from like single to having 2 kids like pretty fast. And like, how's that go managing a career, being a mother with like 2 super young kids?
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there, but I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you is like, what was like the final thing that made you want to quit being an AE and move into customer success. And I remember like it would like you would customers would always like call you after they signed up for help because you were so nice, and you were like, shit, I should just do this.
That's
And it was like,
exactly it. Sorry to cut you off, but that's it right there on
oh,
the
no.
head. I realized at Evernote, especially with just like the team that we were on and the manager that we have, that I just didn't really fit that box of being the person that gets the sale and moves on to the next person, more of that churn, type of thing, or quick sale.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy them having the experience of like, wow, Val helped me with this part. I want her to help me actually like onboard this or really kind of get integrated within it. And that spark of joy was obviously different than how a sales rep feels when they, land a deal, right? So for me, it was like, okay, cool, I'm landing this deal. Hopefully this will show up in my paycheck or my bonus. But my biggest joy was absolutely those customers that would call back, or the people that would say, hey, Val, like, I really like the way that you showed me that you did it with, your instance of Evernote. Can, you help me out? That's what really fulfilled my heart. And, the interesting
Nice.
is I was a CSM prior to being an AE at Evernote. I took a couple years off of being a CSM just because the jobs that came up were sales. So I went to Oracle at first, and I was like, a BDR, SDR, whatever you want to call that, churning and burning there. And I was like, okay, this is not really what's hot, but, I got to do what I got to do. And then I got that job at Evernote, which was, a little bit more of like enterprise sales, but not necessarily the big kahuna. So after that, and then again, just that kind of like realization that I appreciated the after sale part, I was like, I got to stick where I know is best. And I moved back into CSM, and rest is history.
That's awesome that like you had that self-awareness to kind of just be mindful of like what's going on and realize that like, oh, there's these parts of my job that I really like, that I really get off on. And then there's this other stuff that's kind of, I don't know, I'm not vibing with, it's not really me. And then, having the balls or the courage or whatever to like pursue that, So when you decided like, all right, I'm done with this sales stuff, I'm going to be a CSM, like, was that a hard decision? Did you feel like, were you all in right away, or were you like kind of like, oh, I don't know if it's the right thing, I don't know if I want to jump in with 2 feet right away?
Yeah, I wasn't all in right away. I knew it's what I loved, but the one thing that again pulled me to sales, of course, the money, but the part about sales is it was very much more of like, I had I had a starting and stop line, and then that was it, So one thing that I remember as I went back and forth from CSM to sales and being back on the sales side, I'm like, oh, it is kind of nice that, if there is problems going on, they don't reach back out to me, So that was a nice feeling to have, but it wasn't enough. I was like, you know what, obviously I'd rather deal with this customer for 2 years and then, reach out to me as their sole point of contact versus the quotas and the stress and the PIP plans that I was on at one point and things like that. I'm like, those two, like, I can already balance out. The CSM is better. So I didn't jump in with 2 feet, but I definitely jumped back in, and I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. It'll be okay if I have to give out my cell phone number over Super Bowl weekend, because I had Fox as a customer and they wanted to make sure that there was no downtime during the Super Bowl.
Shit. No way.
Yes, indeed. I was like, oh, here we are. I'm back at it. But that's what I love.
Oh, that's crazy. That feels good. So Fox, that's, small company. Yeah.
Just a small one. They only had about 20 different divisions. I was dealing with, I think, I don't know, there's like Fox News, Fox this, whatever. But yeah, I was, of course, dealing with the developer end of it. And so they were like, we need no downtime and we need you to be on call with us. And granted, I'm not the technical person, but I'm the, the in between. So I was on call Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah. So like you mentioned a little bit about like the pressure and the stress in sales with like the quota and pips and all that stuff. So like, what's the pressure like in CS world, and like, how are you guys comped? Like, I know it's different for different organizations. Like some, there is like a big sales component still. And then I think others, it's more like kind of retention and stuff.
Right. My current company, I'm blessed.
So at the end of the day, I was basically just an average sales rep. But when people see my resume, they're usually pretty impressed. And I get questions about how I was able to put a career like that together. And the reason is really simple. Early in my career, I formed a clear vision of where I wanted to take my sales career and what I needed to do to get there. And what I've realized over the past 4+ years of advising sales reps on career matters is that coming up with a goal and a plan isn't super intuitive for everyone. And for those people, I have a solution. So if you're a BDR who wants to become an enterprise AE, or if you're an AE who wants to become a VP, or if you're someone who just keeps picking the wrong jobs and the wrong companies over and over and over again, or really anyone who just needs to figure out what to do next in their careers, this course is for you specifically. It's called Elevate Your Sales Career, and it guides you through the steps and frameworks that I've developed over the past 4.5 years, working with dozens of sales reps to get really clear optics into what their ideal sales career looks like and how to get there. So check it out at my website, www.dankow.ski, and also look for a link in the video description.
I'm blessed that they don't focus as much on the sales. So they have this thing called like a qualified sales or customer success qualified lead. So CSQL is the abbreviation. And they kind of put that into place to be able to say, hey, when you're talking to these customers, talk to them about A, B, and C. And if it seems like they're interested, pop it into, whatever sales, Salesforce, whatever that you have. But again, on my company, they don't really focus on that a lot. I don't even think it really matters as far as bonuses. But what does matter is, of course, adoption. They look at license usage. We do actual seat count, but then we also do like a consumption method. So there's 2 different ways that they can measure it. They also look out the ARR. If it changes from year to year, obviously it has to go up a benchmark. So they're seeing that you're adding money or, products to the account. I don't believe that they really look too much at like NPS scores and stuff like that for us individually as a whole and the organization. They like to see that those are higher. But yeah, it's mostly adoption, license seat, and ARR and NDRR, which is that net dollar retention that goes up year to year to add more.
Damn. So, you froze on me. Hang on. I think my internet's a little shitty. Hang on. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Hang on. I can hear you clicking.
I lost you for a second. I'm like, I'm still moving.
No. Yeah, it's my internet. Sometimes this happens, but the recording's usually fine. So they have like a lot of different like metrics and shit that they're looking at.
Yeah. I think there's 3, and then they sometimes toggle in a 4th one. They've been just trying to try things out for the past. I've been at GitHub for almost 4 years, and let me say it is my favorite company.
That's
I
awesome.
love it. So yeah, for the past 3.5 years, they've been trying out different things because it is really tough to comp CSMs. And I think that's actually kind of the sweet spot too, because they don't really understand exactly what is that benchmark, that specific thing that's really showing our specific impact. So they kind of just like overcompensate around it, and it works out. Not in all companies, but in mine.
Oh yeah, I kind of like that though. Like there's multiple ways to win, you know, it's not just like one thing. It's like, maybe I'm a little low here, but like, look at this stuff, you know?
Right. I agree. There's the bad ends of it, but like I said, I think the good ends are that you can just kind of like make that impact for yourself, and then the compensation isn't too far off if you're impacting your customer.
And then, all right, so like, what are the worst parts of the job?
Yeah, good question. Right off the top of my mind, it's got to be, the customers that just aren't, those merry-go-lucky peachy ones that typically will, really kind of like grind you for the things that they need, the things that they want on a consistent basis. And it gets tiring if you're with them for, as a CSM, and if you handle strategic accounts, you're with your customers, God willing that they don't change territories for 2 years minimum, longer if you've been at the company. So you can really forge a relationship with somebody. So
that could be a nightmare though. Like if you don't match up with someone's energy, like just that thing, like a personality difference, and it's like, fuck, I'm with the person for 2 years.
Exactly. And to that same kind of like line, we do unfortunately have to change territories. And as a CSM, you're not just like, hey, I'm your new sales rep, reach out to me if you're upgrading, if you need a renewal, whatever. It's like you got to kind of create a relationship with them. So first 6 months, if you kind of have to change accounts or change people that you're working with, it's like you're just kind of doing this whole song and dance of dating someone, and it gets a little tiring as well, because you have to like be a person of a friend, or, someone that they can kind of feel obviously an advocate or something like that. So I feel like, your personality helps. But at the end of the day, we don't want to just sit there and have to like talk to people just because, we're working with them every day like that. But you have to be more of a friend than just a kind of like, hey, I'm here to get your money and move forward.
Yeah.
And then I would say the biggest thing is expectations. There's a lot of pressure and expectations specifically for coming on to an account that's brand new and getting them onboarded and getting them to that adoption level that they're expecting is going to make that product be valuable. And so
Mm.
a lot of things always kind of just come in as snags. Migration is a big one. I've yet to see a company move over to another tool and it be just easy, clean. And of course, you're getting them as they're doing that migration. They bought the product. Now you're moving forward with every single possible thing. So migrations are tough. Building out a success plan that sounds interesting enough for them to want to say, okay, yeah, this makes sense. It can be a little detail oriented, and you really kind of have to like use your intellect and your mind to say, all right, I don't want to just give them this, let's do 10% by December. You want to give them kind of this road to get there. And I think the more that you're a little bit more detailed with it and saying, okay, we're going to do, this GitHub type day where we all kind of come together and, work on this piece. And then we're going to do another thing where all of our technical people are on the call. That helps the customer know, okay, they actually have like plans and not a concept of a plan, right? So that's a little bit stressful as well. Just making sure that your success plans and your road or your journey is valuable enough for them to see. So,
Yeah. No, that's interesting you say that. I work post sales now too. My role is kind of weird. It's a strategy consulting role, but the same thing, big accounts, and I get involved in the success planning, but it's not technical success planning. It's more like adoption and performance type stuff. So it's a little more like high level, but your stuff, it sounds like really in the weeds, and you're working with big accounts too. And like that migration piece with a large organization where like you have their systems are always just horrible, right? It's like just like old and rickety and like a bunch of stuff plugged in, and it's like it's not futuristic and high tech and shit like you think it would be.
I've yet to hear someone say it was just a breeze. Yeah, so that's always a big one, especially like in big tech like us. It becomes this huge lift. I mean, huge. So you're talking years sometimes, and it can be exhausting if you're the person that's like, hey, thanks for choosing us. I'm here. Let's go. And then, you're 3 years in, like, we're still doing migration.
And so the best stuff is kind of like that good feeling of just like helping someone out with a problem and helping them solve a problem, it sounds like, and not having that quota pressure and that type of thing.
Yeah, I think that, I also feel like, again, kind of going back to the relationships, one thing that you usually will start to do is you'll work with like a certain person that's managing. They usually have a lot of hats, but the person that's managing that product with you, of course, being the person that, is representing it. And so you have that relationship with that specific person that's then rolling it out to their team. And I feel like there's that like dual appreciation, right? Because you're getting that value of, oh, this customer is really taking what I'm saying and adopting it out to their team, but they're also looking good because this product is now getting rolled out and it's getting configured in a very efficient manner. So then they look good too. So again, that relationship just becoming like, again, where it's not necessarily just a person you work with every day, but really a person that you can kind of like shoot the crap with. That's a really good feeling as well. And that tends to happen when you're with them for a while. You find maybe not, if I have 10 accounts, granted, not all 10 are going to be my best friend, but maybe 4 or 5 will be like really cool people. And you're like, that's legit. Like, hey, what's up, girl? Like get to talk to them like that sometimes because you've been hanging out and talking for a while. So.
Well, no, and that's great for you too, because I think just naturally you're like, a super friendly person, native Texan.
Yes, indeed.
Friendly people. Yeah.
I would agree. And people say the smile, I'm a cheerleader all day long. And I don't know if you know me, but I played volleyball my whole high school career. So yes, I guess the smile and the Texan accent or whatever I have sets it off.
Southern hospitality. And you mentioned comp a couple times. So the comp is pretty nice too.
Yeah. Again, I'm sure it changes at every company, but with ours, here's one thing, clearly it's salary because they're not going to just, pay you hourly. I don't think many jobs do that now, especially in tech. So you got your
Mhm.
salary. But the comp is actually, um, I'd say if you're going off of like that standard, it's like, like sometimes 30, 40%, um, in addition to the salary. So how's the best way to explain this? Like,
So it's like base and then like a 30% bonus sometimes.
no, I think the best way to say it is more of like an OTE, and the OT is almost
Mhm.
always hit because again, it's like the
Oh, nice.
adoption, depending on what company you're at, the adoption is really a big factor, an accelerator of it, right? So
Got it.
yeah, OTE can, in big tech companies that can be like a good like 190, things like that. So yeah, it's nice. It's
Oh yeah.
it's definitely nice to get there. And like I said, it's not foolproof, but a lot of times we hit because
Yeah.
our tool, our sorry, not our tool, our software platform is not a nice to have. It's a you need to have unless you're going with one of the other couple competitors. So I feel like
Yeah.
when GitHub was just starting, maybe about 10, 15 years ago, I always say it was like the wild, wild west because they were one out of three people that manage source code repositories. And so it was just like they were able to sling it no matter where it
Yeah.
was. And it was something that customers literally needed to get themselves into that innovation of tech. So we fit right in. Ground zero
Oh
is what I
yeah.
call us.
Ground zero. Right
Yes.
on. Yeah. Well, and the OTE piece, like that's so much different than sales because sales, like OTE, is just
Right.
you're never hitting it. Only
Exactly.
28% of reps are hitting OTE. So yeah.
That's what I was getting at or alluding to, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
true. You're like, oh,
Got
that
it.
sounds great, but probably won't,
Got
so
it.
yeah.
So, like, what types of sales reps do you think would do good in customer success?
Yeah. I think the sales rep, because again, the personality piece is kind of just dependent on them, right? And not everybody wants to have the conversations and the relationship.
All right, so that's the end of part one with Val Walker. Tune in next week for part two with Val, and we talk more about like kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly of being a CSM, and also like how do you go from like or how can you be like a good mother to two small boys and also work full time and like be in a marriage and all that. So kind of like time management stuff and work life balance stuff. It's a really good discussion around those things too. So tune in next week for that. This right here, this is a picture of my little sister after she got her wisdom teeth taken out. It's my favorite picture ever because she's actually like really pretty and like she got all the good genes for sure, like personality and looks and all that. And it's like the most unattractive picture ever of like her worst day ever. Like she doesn't really party at all, so those all the painkillers from the wisdom teeth really fucked her up. I love that picture, and so I keep it in my office because it makes me smile every time. So tune in next week for more of my talk with Val Walker about being a CSM and motherhood and how to be a mom and work full time in tech and all those things. Like and subscribe with the podcast, follow everywhere, leave comments everywhere, go to the website, take advantage of all the free stuff. There's career guides. There's career pivot guides if you want to get out of sales. There's a guide for that. There's a path to quota calculator, which is amazing. There's a newsletter, which the content goes out weekly at this point, and it's all career stuff and tactical sales stuff. And then there's the course and like all kinds of coaching opportunities and stuff too. So appreciate you. Check everything out. Check out the links in the show notes. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye.